Today, we're digging into a really powerful idea. How do we actually arise to serve our communities? You know, how do we rebuild those connections that feel like they're fraying, one conversation at a time?
So let's just start with the big question that I think is on a lot of our minds. In a world that feels increasingly disconnected, where we can feel pretty isolated even when we're surrounded by people, how in the world do we start rebuilding a real sense of community?
Well, one particular educational program has a surprisingly simple answer. It argues that it's not about some giant top-down project. Nope, the answer lies in something we do every day: conversation. Specifically, learning the art of uplifting conversation. And that brings us right to the heart of what we're talking about today. It's a curriculum from the Ruhi Institute called Book 2, Arising to Serve, and it's all about this idea of using conversations to literally build community. Okay, so what is this thing? At its core, Ruhi Book 2 is a course, a text that's designed to help us get better at having meaningful, positive conversations. And this is the key. It frames this skill not just as a nice thing to have, but as a real, powerful form of service to others. I love how this slide just lays it out so clearly. On the one hand, you have the problem we all feel. Powerful forces are pulling us apart, making us more isolated. And on the other hand, the solution it proposes is so simple and human. Just the practice of visiting our friends and neighbors to talk about things that matter, creating real bonds of friendship. So, to really get how this works, the book starts by laying a foundation. It doesn't jump into techniques or scripts. It starts with our inner posture, our mindset, specifically where we find our joy in doing this. And it kicks off with this beautiful metaphor. It says to think of spiritual wisdom like a vast ocean, and hidden deep inside are all these priceless pearls. Our job, then, is to be like divers, plunging into that ocean to discover these gems for ourselves. And here's the crucial part. The book says the real joy of this kind of service doesn't come from the results. It's not about convincing someone or winning an argument. The joy is found in the act itself, the simple, beautiful act of sharing these pearls you found with other people. And to really hang on to that joy, the book lays out 4 essential qualities. First, detachment. Not getting hung up on praise or criticism. Then, effort, being consistent and persevering. Third, optimism. Seeing any bumps in the road is just stepping stones. And finally, gratitude, just being thankful for the chance to connect with someone in this way. All right, so once that inner foundation is solid, the book shifts gears and gets super practical. Part 2 is all about the toolkit you need for having these kinds of uplifting conversations. So the idea is to give you a set of universal themes inspired by the writings of Abdu'l-Bahá that can help you gently bring some spiritual depth into your normal, everyday chats. It's all about making those conversations richer. And this is where it gets really brilliant, I think. Instead of complicated theology, it uses these simple, powerful analogies that anyone can grasp. The idea that all religions are just different lamps shining the same light, or that science and religion are like the 2 wings we need to fly. It just makes these huge ideas so accessible. And the toolkit keeps going, covering all these big topics people are already thinking about anyway, like justice, equality, and education. And for each one, it gives you a way to frame it that can lift a normal conversation into something way more meaningful and connecting. And that leads us to the final part, which is where the rubber really meets the road. This is where we take all that foundational mindset and the new toolkit and put it into a focused, systematic practice. So check this out. The focus actually shifts here. We're moving beyond just having better informal chats when they happen to come up. Now, it's about a more deliberate act of service, proactively and systematically visiting the homes of our friends and neighbors to create that space for connection. And the book breaks this down into 3 main ways this looks in practice. One is visiting families who are interested in exploring spiritual themes more deeply. Another is for teachers of kids or junior youth to connect with and support the parents. And the third is for young people to talk with each other about how they can make the world a better place. Now, to give everyone a concrete story to practice with, the curriculum uses the life of Bahá'u'lláh, the founder of the Bahá'í faith, as a central theme. His life story is just packed with examples of service, sacrifice, and incredible resilience. His 40-year exile is this epic journey. It starts in a dark dungeon, the Black Pit in Tehran, then moves to Baghdad, where he declares his mission. From Adrianople, he's writing to the most powerful kings and rulers on earth. And finally, he's sent to the worst penal colony imaginable, Akka, and turns it into a spiritual center for the whole world.
And what's so helpful is the course actually uses visual aids, like this map. It just makes the whole story so much more real. You're not just hearing about it, you can literally trace the journey, which is such a powerful anchor for a conversation.
Okay, so we've talked about the foundation, the toolkit, and the practice. But let's zoom out. What's the really big idea here? What's the ultimate power that's packed into these conversations?
There's this incredible quote from Bahá'u'llah's writings that completely reframes all that suffering. It suggests that he willingly endured being sent to the most desolate of cities as a kind of sacrifice, one that was necessary to help build a whole new world for all of us.
And that really gets to the core of it. The curriculum is making a bold claim. These aren't just nice, friendly chats. They are a deliberate, foundational act of community building. Every single visit, every shared idea is like a single thread that helps weave our social fabric back together. And ultimately, it all connects to this huge vision for humanity. This quote from Baha'u'lláh is crystal clear. We can't have real peace or security in the world until we first have unity. And this program suggests that that unity doesn't start in the halls of power, it starts in our living rooms.
So I guess that leaves us with this final kind of mind-bending question to think about. With all the complex problems we face, with all the complicated solutions we're chasing, what if the most powerful, most effective tool for actually changing the world is simply learning how to have a better conversation?